Do you think celebrities truly have it all? Fame, fortune, and a life most people can only dream of? But there's one thing no amount of money, influence, or power can ever guarantee: health. Behind the bright lights of Hollywood, 27 iconic stars were struck by illnesses so rare and devastating that even doctors struggled to find answers. Some collapsed without warning, right in the middle of their performances. Others spent their entire lives fighting silent battles, from childhood all the way to their final moments. What cruel diseases targeted these black legends? How did they slowly, or suddenly, take everything away? In this video, we uncover their heartbreaking stories. And fair warning, keep some tissues close, because what you're about to hear may leave you in tears. Danny Glover, the epileptic nightmare that nearly buried a Hollywood legend. Danny Glover is forever linked to the explosive Lethal Weapon franchise, a towering icon of Hollywood's strength and resilience. But behind the fame, the accolades, and the fearless characters he portrayed, Glover carried a terrifying secret: epilepsy. It wasn't just a medical condition, it was a psychological prison that haunted him throughout his youth, threatening to destroy his dreams before they ever had a chance to live. In the 1950s, growing up in San Francisco, Glover suffered his first seizure at home. There was no warning. His body suddenly stiffened, his eyes rolled back, foam filled his mouth. His mother could do nothing but hold him, frozen in terror. That moment marked the beginning of years of fear. The seizures came without mercy. In classrooms, on busy streets, surrounded by strangers who panicked and didn't understand. Friends slowly distanced themselves. Teachers were helpless. Every day became a waiting game, never knowing when his body would betray him again. But Hollywood doesn't reward weakness, and Glover knew it. He made a choice to fight in silence. He learned to recognize the tingling sensation that signaled an oncoming seizure and trained himself to stay calm. He controlled his breathing. He clenched his fists. He forced his body to obey. Then, against all medical odds, something unbelievable happened. As he reached adulthood, the seizures simply stopped. Doctors couldn't explain it. The chances of spontaneous recovery were nearly impossible. 1 in 100,000. Yet Danny Glover defied them all. Now in his 70s, the fear still lingers in the back of his mind. It could return at any time. But it no longer controls him. He faced the nightmare, survived it, and rose to become a legend, on screen and in real life. Bernie Mac's laughter was loud enough to shake a room, but it could never silence the pain slowly killing him. America knew Bernie Mac as a comedy legend, a man with fearless humor and unmatched timing who had millions laughing until they cried. But behind that booming laugh was a horrifying truth few ever saw. For more than 20 years, Bernie quietly battled sarcoidosis, a rare, incurable disease that slowly destroyed his body from the inside out. In 1983, at just 26 years old, as his comedy career was taking off, his body began to betray him. Relentless coughing fits. Crushing fatigue. Every breath felt like a battle. His entire body ached, but he dismissed it as nothing more than a bad cold. The reality was far more cruel. Doctors diagnosed him with sarcoidosis, a disease where the immune system turns against itself. Inflammatory masses attacked his lungs, liver, eyes, and even his heart. The illness is especially aggressive in African Americans, and Bernie was no exception. Yet instead of slowing down, Bernie pushed harder. In 2001, the Bernie Mac show exploded onto television, turning him into a household name. On screen, he was unstoppable. Off camera, he suffered in silence, endless pain, sleepless nights, and desperate gasps for air that no one saw. By 2005, the disease had tightened its grip. Bernie began coughing up blood. His lungs felt shredded, as if sliced by 1,000 knives. Still he showed up. Still he performed. Still he refused to let the illness win. In 2007, while filming Soul Men, Bernie collapsed on set, unable to breathe. His lungs were beyond repair. On August 9, 2008, the world lost Bernie Mac. The laughter faded, but the strength behind it will never be forgotten. Charlie Murphy was taken down by a ruthless blood disease that struck with terrifying speed. Known to the world as Eddie Murphy's brother, Charlie was far more than a famous sibling. He was a battle-tested comedian, a U.S. Navy veteran, and a man who lived loud, fearless, and unapologetic. He brought raw, unforgettable laughter to millions, but even his iron will couldn't outrun an invisible enemy. In late 2016, something felt wrong. Crushing exhaustion set in. His body ached. His skin grew pale. At first, Charlie brushed it off as overwork. Then the warning signs turned impossible to ignore: mysterious bruises, dramatic weight loss, nearly 20 pounds gone in just a few months. In early 2017, the diagnosis landed like a death sentence: acute myeloid leukemia, AML, one of the most aggressive and deadly blood cancers. Even worse, Charlie carried a rare genetic mutation, FLT3 or NPM1, found in only a few thousand cases worldwide each year, making treatment brutally difficult. He didn't hesitate. Chemotherapy began immediately. But AML is merciless. It spreads at lightning speed, where even a delay of weeks can mean death. Despite treatment, the 5-year survival rate barely reaches 25 to 30%. Charlie endured relentless pain, hair loss, nausea, overwhelming weakness, yet he kept cracking jokes, refusing to let the disease steal his spirit. Still, those closest to him could see the truth: he was fading fast. Then came April 12, 2017. After only months of fighting, Charlie Murphy took his final breath in a New York hospital. He had kept his illness private until the very end, refusing to be seen as vulnerable. When the news broke, Hollywood stood still, stunned by the sudden loss of a man who seemed too strong to fall so fast. Hank Gathers, a deadly fall on the court at the peak of greatness. Hank Gathers was one of the most electrifying basketball talents of the late 80s, a relentless scorer, a fearless force who played with fire in his veins. He dominated the court with raw power and unstoppable intensity. No one imagined that his greatest opponent wouldn't be a defender, but his own heart. In December 1989, during a game against UC Santa Barbara, Gathers had just sunk a free throw when everything changed. Without warning, he collapsed. His body convulsed on the hardwood before he slowly regained consciousness. While teammates panicked, Hank flashed a grin, brushing it off, desperate to stay in the game. But doctors weren't smiling. Tests revealed hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, HCM, a silent, deadly condition where the heart muscle thickens, restricting blood flow and making sudden death a constant threat. He was put on medication to control his heart rate, but it came at a cost. The drugs drained his explosiveness, stealing the very edge that made him great. Refusing to feel limited, Hank made a dangerous decision. He secretly reduced his dosage. It would prove fatal. On March 4, 1990, Hank stepped onto the court against Portland, determined to show the world he was still unstoppable. Moments after throwing down a powerful dunk, he turned to run back on defense, then staggered. In an instant, he collapsed. The roaring crowd fell into stunned silence. Medics rushed in, performing CPR right there on the court. But this time, Hank didn't rise. 90 minutes later, the hospital delivered the devastating news. Hank Gathers was gone. At just 23 years old, his heart, the same heart that fueled his passion, had finally failed him. Winnie Harlow survived a nightmare that shocked the world. She was never meant to fit the mold of a traditional supermodel. No flawless skin. No conventional beauty. Instead, her body carried the unmistakable marks of vitiligo, a condition that once made her a target of cruelty, isolation, and fear. She was mocked, rejected, and branded as different. But instead of letting it destroy her, Winnie turned it into her power. Today, she commands the world's biggest runways, graces the covers of Vogue, and represents luxury giants like Marc Jacobs, Dior, and Victoria's Secret, all because of what was once called a flaw. Her rise, however, was anything but magical. It began as a childhood nightmare. At just 4 years old, her mother noticed pale patches forming around her mouth and eyes. At first, it seemed harmless. Then the patches spread. Her skin fractured into stark contrasts, and panic set in. The diagnosis was devastating: vitiligo, rare, incurable, unpredictable. No one could say where the patches would appear next or how far they would go. School became a battlefield. Friends vanished. Insults replaced laughter. Freak. Contagious. The words cut deep. Eventually, the pain became unbearable. Winnie dropped out, hid away, and spiraled into depression. At her lowest point, she even considered ending her life. Then came 2014, the moment everything changed. She stepped onto America's Next Top Model, a stage many believed had no place for a girl with patchy skin. But Winnie didn't just survive, she shattered expectations. She became a sensation. Top designers competed for her presence. Fashion magazines crowned her a new symbol of beauty. What was once called a curse became the very mark that helped her conquer the world. Yet vitiligo is more than skin deep. It can trigger autoimmune disorders, crush self-worth, and permanently scar the spirit. Most never escape its grip. Winnie Harlow did. Tyan T-Boz Watkins lived under a death prophecy for more than half a century and chose to fight it every single day. She isn't just an R&B icon. She's a survivor. As a member of TLC, the best-selling female group of the 1990s with millions of fans around the world, T-Boz shined brighter than almost anyone in music. But behind the spotlight was a brutal reality few ever saw. From childhood, she was fighting sickle cell disease, a rare and life-threatening blood disorder that could take her life without warning. At just 7 years old, Tyan experienced pain no child should ever know. It ripped through her bones and joints, set her body on fire from the inside, and made every breath a struggle. Blood clotted in her veins, turning simple movement into agony. When doctors finally diagnosed her, they offered no hope, only a cold verdict: you won't live past 30. At an age when most children barely understand life, she was handed a death sentence. The years that followed were a non-stop battle. While other kids played, Tyan grew familiar with hospital rooms and 4 lines. Yet she refused to live as a victim. In 1991, she joined Lisa Left Eye Lopez and Rosanda Chili Thomas to form TLC, catapulting the group to worldwide superstardom. But success came at a painful cost. She collapsed from exhaustion on stage, fainted backstage, and endured countless hospital stays. At one point, her kidneys nearly shut down. Doctors warned her bluntly, "Keep pushing like this, and she'd die even sooner than predicted." Then, in 2000, T-Boz became pregnant, and panic followed. Doctors told her the truth: childbirth could kill her. But once again, she refused to surrender. Through unbearable pain and unimaginable risk, she gave birth to her daughter, Chase Rollison, and spent nearly a year fighting her way back to health. The disease never eased up. In 2006, severe pneumonia nearly ended her life. Many believed she wouldn't survive, again. But today, at 54 years old, an age once considered impossible for someone with her condition, Tyan T-Boz Watkins is still standing. More than anything, her life proves one powerful truth: no diagnosis, no prediction, and no death sentence gets to decide a person's destiny. Laila Ali, the undefeated champion who faced her most brutal fight outside the ring. Laila Ali was never just Muhammad Ali's daughter. She forged her own legacy, storming through the boxing world with a flawless 24-0 record. Powerful, fearless, unbreakable, or so it seemed. But long after the cheers faded and the gloves came off, Laila was still fighting a war no one could see. This enemy didn't throw punches. It attacked silently. A rare autoimmune disease called Sjogren's syndrome. Years before her shocking retirement in 2007, right after her 24th straight victory, Laila's body began betraying her. Her mouth became so dry that water brought no relief. Her eyes burned as if filled with sand. Her skin tightened and cracked with pain. Then came the joint agony, fingers throbbing, hands stiff, every movement a reminder that something was terribly wrong. The fists that once crushed opponents now caused her unbearable pain. She went from doctor to doctor, searching for answers. Some dismissed her symptoms as dehydration. Others blamed exhaustion. A few even suggested it was all in her head. Finally, one doctor uncovered the truth: Sjogren's syndrome, a condition where the immune system attacks the body's moisture-producing glands. There was no cure, only lifelong management. The disease didn't strike fast. It dismantled her slowly. Her teeth weakened without saliva to protect them. Her joints ached more with each passing day. Some mornings she couldn't even clench her fist. And the fatigue, the kind that drains even the strongest spirit, was relentless. But Layla Ali never quit. She changed her diet, sought treatment, learned to manage her condition, and turned her pain into purpose. Today, she uses her voice to raise awareness, proving that even when a champion leaves the ring, the heart of a fighter never fades. Gary Coleman was the child star the world couldn't forget, yet never truly understood. Hollywood first met him as a tiny boy with a dazzling smile, piercing eyes, and a catchphrase that swept across America, "What you talkin' 'bout, Willis?" Gary Coleman became the pint-sized phenomenon of different strokes, a symbol of joy and laughter in millions of homes. But behind the bright lights and studio applause, Gary was living a life frozen in time. Born with a rare and vicious congenital kidney disease, possibly nephrinosis, affecting only 1 in every 100,000 children, his body was robbed of the chance to grow. While other kids shot up and moved on, Gary's development stopped cold. He would stand just 4 feet 8 inches tall for the rest of his life. But the damage went far beyond his height. From a young age, his failing kidneys chained him to dialysis, hospital rooms, and constant pain. Still, fate pushed him onto center stage. By just 10 years old, Gary Coleman became the highest-paid child actor in Hollywood. To the world, he was living a dream. In reality, his body was breaking down. 2 kidney transplants followed. Both failed. The powerful anti-rejection drugs left him in agonizing paralysis, stealing what little strength he had left. By the time he turned 18, Gary still looked like a 10-year-old, forever trapped in a child's body, forever typecast as the kid America laughed with but never grew up with. When Different Strokes ended, so did Hollywood's interest. There were no grown-up roles waiting for him. Even worse, the people meant to protect him, his adoptive parents and manager, drained away the millions he had earned. By 1999, Gary Coleman was bankrupt, sick, and forgotten. In 2010, a simple fall at home turned fatal. A brain hemorrhage sent him into a coma. He never woke up. Gary Coleman died at just 42 years old, once the brightest child star in America, gone quietly, leaving behind a legacy of laughter and a life marked by pain, exploitation, and tragedy. Michael Jackson, the mysterious illness that transformed the king of pop beyond recognition. Michael Jackson wasn't just a musician. He was a phenomenon, a man with a spellbinding voice, gravity-defying moves, and a fan base that spanned the entire globe. But behind the blinding stage lights and screaming crowds, Michael became the center of one of the most disturbing obsessions in entertainment history. People didn't just talk about his music. They fixated on his face. The world watched in disbelief as the once dark-skinned child from the Jackson 5 slowly transformed into a man with ghostly pale skin. Rumors exploded, plastic surgery, skin bleaching, self-hatred. But the truth was far more tragic. Michael was battling vitiligo, a rare autoimmune disease that destroys skin pigment. It began in patches, then relentlessly spread across his entire body, turning him into a medical anomaly few truly understood. In the early 1980s, as Thriller conquered the planet, Michael noticed small white spots appearing on his skin. He tried to hide them with heavy makeup, but the disease advanced rapidly. By the end of the decade, his appearance had changed dramatically, growing lighter with each passing year. The tabloids pounced, accusing him of erasing his black identity. The reality was devastating. As vitiligo took over completely, Michael underwent depigmentation therapy, a painful, irreversible procedure to even out his skin tone. The physical toll was severe. His skin became dangerously sensitive to sunlight. His immune system weakened. Chronic pain set in. And the relentless public scrutiny pushed him deeper into isolation, depression, and dependence on powerful sedatives. By 2009, while rehearsing for This Is It, Michael's body finally gave out. He collapsed from an overdose of prescription drugs. The autopsy revealed a haunting truth. His entire body had lost all pigment. For decades, the world mocked him, judged him, and misunderstood him. Only after his death did many finally grasp the brutal disease that helped destroy the man behind the music. Michael Jackson wasn't a monster or a mystery. He was a genius trapped in a body ravaged by illness and crushed by fame. Yet through it all, his music never faded. The king of pop may be gone, but his legacy is forever. Musical notes: Nayakim Gatwech, the queen of the dark, and the mystery behind the skin that stunned the world. In the modeling industry, Nayakim Gatwech isn't just another beautiful face. She's a phenomenon. Her skin is so deeply, breathtakingly black that it appears almost unreal, unlike anyone else on Earth. So striking, in fact, that many believe she may have a rare pigment condition known as hypermelanosis, where the body produces melanin far beyond normal levels, creating a skin tone so dark it seems to absorb light itself. But her journey wasn't always empowering. As a child, Nayakim was relentlessly mocked. She was called cruel names, black hole, monster, even told she was cursed. Surrounded by ridicule and rejection, she once considered bleaching her skin just to feel accepted. Then everything changed. Instead of erasing herself, Nayakim chose to rise. She turned what the world tried to shame into her greatest strength. The moment she stepped onto the modeling scene, she sent shockwaves through the industry. Her appearance was so rare that even dermatologists were left searching for answers. Some experts believe she may have full-body hypermelanosis, a condition typically seen only in isolated patches, never across the entire body. If true, she could be the first naturally occurring case without any underlying illness ever documented. Yet beyond science, diagnoses, and debate, Nayakim stands unshaken. Today, she is a global beauty icon, breaking outdated standards and redefining what beauty truly means. The skin once labeled freakish is now her crown. The very feature people tried to erase is what makes her unforgettable on every runway she walks. And even if science can't fully explain her, the world agrees on one undeniable truth. Nayakim Gatwech is not a mystery to be feared, she is a wonder to be celebrated. Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther and the silent war that took his life. Chadwick Boseman was more than an actor. He was a symbol. A force. A once-in-a-generation presence. From embodying Jackie Robinson's courage to becoming the face of Marvel's Black Panther, every role he touched carried weight, dignity, and purpose. To the world, he was Wakanda's unbreakable king, powerful, fearless, immortal. But behind the scenes, Chadwick Boseman was fighting an enemy no one could see. Colon cancer. A brutal disease rarely found in the young, accounting for only 2 to 4% of cases. And the cruelest part? He fought it in total silence for 4 long years, all the way to his final breath. In 2016, at the very height of his rising stardom, Boseman received the devastating diagnosis, stage 3 colon cancer. A disease known for creeping in quietly, often without obvious warning signs until it's already advanced. Subtle symptoms, unexplained weight loss, persistent stomach pain, deep fatigue, may have been there. But Boseman, driven by duty and passion, brushed them off as exhaustion from an unforgiving schedule. That decision allowed the cancer to spread, slowly and relentlessly. Yet instead of stepping away, Chadwick Boseman chose to fight on. For 4 years, he filmed some of the biggest blockbusters in cinematic history: Black Panther, Avengers, Endgame, and more. Between takes, he endured surgeries, chemotherapy, physical and emotional agony few could imagine. While the world applauded his strength on screen, no one knew the true battle he was waging off camera. By 2020, the cancer had reached its final stage. Boseman's body grew frail. Photos of his dramatic weight loss surfaced online. And rather than compassion, some responded with cruelty, mocking him, calling him a malnourished Black Panther, unaware that he was living on borrowed time. He had only months left. On August 28, 2020, the world stood still as his family announced the unthinkable. Chadwick Boseman had passed away at just 43 years old. The King of Wakanda. The hero who faced gods, aliens, and cosmic wars. Defeated not by a supervillain, but by a very real, very unforgiving killer. And in his final act, Chadwick Boseman left behind something greater than any role. A legacy of courage, grace, and strength in the face of unimaginable pain. Richard Pryor, from comedy king to a body he couldn't escape. Richard Pryor was a towering force in American comedy. With fearless storytelling and razor-sharp satire, he didn't just perform stand-up, he reinvented it. Audiences fell in love with his raw honesty, explosive humor, and unmatched boldness. On stage, he seemed unstoppable. But behind the spotlight was a silent nightmare that would last nearly 20 years. In the late 1970s, Pryor was at the height of his fame when something felt wrong. He began stumbling on stage for no clear reason. His legs stiffened. His hands shook so violently he struggled to hold the microphone. At first, he blamed the chaos on alcohol and drugs, longtime companions in his life. No one imagined the truth. In 1986, the diagnosis shattered everything: multiple sclerosis. A rare, cruel disease that attacks the nervous system, slowly stealing muscle strength, balance, and control, and even rarer among Black Americans. This wasn't the price of a wild lifestyle. It was a life sentence. By the early 1990s, Pryor's body became his prison. In 1992, he was confined to a wheelchair. By 1995, his voice, his sharpest weapon, began to fade. By 1999, he was nearly completely immobile. The man who once made the world roar with laughter could no longer speak or walk, only watch helplessly as life moved on around him. On December 10, 2005, Richard Pryor died. The official cause was a heart attack. But in truth, multiple sclerosis had taken him piece by piece long before his final breath. Tevin Campbell was a musical prodigy who seemed to vanish at the peak of his brilliance, leaving behind whispers, fear, and unanswered questions. In the 1990s, he was one of R&B's brightest stars, often called Michael Jackson's heir. With his sweet, soaring vocals, Tevin delivered timeless hits like "Can We Talk?", "Tell Me What You Want Me to Do?" and "I'm Ready." His voice was pure magic, effortless, angelic, unforgettable. Then, suddenly he was gone. No scandal, no controversy, no public meltdown, just silence. Fans were stunned. Rumors exploded, theories ran wild, but the most chilling explanation pointed to something far more terrifying: spinal meningitis, a rare and dangerous disease capable of paralyzing the body, destroying the voice, or even taking a life. In the late 90s, those closest to Tevin noticed disturbing signs: crippling headaches, a neck so stiff he could barely move, mysterious fevers, a body drained of strength. Most alarming of all, his voice began to change. The powerful high notes that once defined him became shaky and uncertain. The music industry is ruthless, but stress alone couldn't explain symptoms this severe. Spinal meningitis attacks the nervous system. If left untreated, it can be fatal in up to 50% of cases. Even survivors often suffer permanent nerve damage. For a singer, losing vocal control is a devastating blow, sometimes a career-ending one. By 2001, Tevin Campbell had disappeared completely. He never publicly spoke about his health. Some insiders claim he endured years of treatment for an unexplained neurological condition. When he resurfaced in the 2000s, the difference was undeniable. The golden voice was still there, but weakened. The soaring highs were gone. When asked about his long absence, Tevin simply said he wanted peace, away from pressure and expectations. But was that really the full story? Or did a silent, devastating illness change his life and his voice forever? Pharrell Williams, forever young, scientific marvel or supernatural mystery. Pharrell Williams is one of the most successful and influential artists of our time, boasting a career that spans decades. From Frontin' to Happy, he has dominated the music world with a sound that's unmistakably his own and a talent few can rival. But there's something about Pharrell that shocks people even more than his music. He doesn't seem to age. The human body is supposed to surrender to time. Wrinkles form. Energy fades. Youth slips away. But for Pharrell, the rules of biology appear to flip upside down. In 2003, he looked like a man in his 20s. In 2013, nothing changed. By 2024, approaching 50, he still looks almost identical to the Pharrell we saw 2 decades ago. So what's the secret? Some scientists speculate that Pharrell may possess an ultra-rare genetic condition known as delayed aging syndrome, or DIS. This extremely uncommon disorder slows cellular degeneration far beyond normal rates. Researchers point to genes like FOXO3, believed to play a critical role in longevity and youthful appearance, and Pharrell may be one of the rare individuals carrying this genetic advantage. But is eternal youth truly a blessing or a curse? History shows that those who don't age are often misunderstood, isolated, feared, or even labeled as unnatural. Whispers follow Pharrell wherever he goes. Some claim he's tied to supernatural forces. Others joke that he's a vampire or someone who made a deal with the devil to trade time for talent. Science or myth, genetics or legend, one thing is certain. Pharrell Williams' ageless appearance remains one of the most fascinating mysteries in entertainment history. Lamar Odom, a slow dance with death. Lamar Odom once stood at the very peak of the NBA, a 2-time champion with the Los Angeles Lakers and the 2011 Sixth Man of the Year. He had fame, talent, and the world at his feet. But that glory didn't just fade, collapsed. Beyond the addictions and tabloid chaos, Odom was fighting a far more ruthless enemy, a rare and devastating kidney disease that nearly ended his life in the slowest, cruelest way imaginable. In 2015, after a terrifying drug overdose at a Nevada brothel, Odom was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. His heart stopped twice. He suffered 12 strokes and 6 heart attacks. Yet even that wasn't the true nightmare. His kidneys were almost completely destroyed. Doctors diagnosed him with focal segmental glomerulosclerosis, FSGS, a rare illness that leads to end-stage renal failure, endless dialysis, a body breaking down, a career reduced to memory. Once an unstoppable force on the court, Lamar Odom became trapped inside his own body. He survived, but he was never the same. The NBA icon the world once knew is now only a faint shadow of his former self. Tisha Campbell, the sarcoidosis nightmare that nearly destroyed her life. Tisha Campbell, the beloved 90s sitcom star from Martin, was known for her radiant smile and infectious laugh. But behind the spotlight, she was battling a silent terror no one saw coming. Sarcoidosis, a rare and unpredictable autoimmune disease capable of attacking the lungs, heart, and nervous system. In the early 2000s, her body began to betray her. Crushing exhaustion, relentless pain, and terrifying shortness of breath left her struggling just to get through a day on set. When doctors finally delivered the diagnosis, her world stopped. There was no cure. The disease could lead to organ failure, even death. For a singer and actress, damage to her lungs meant her entire career could vanish overnight. Every step on stage felt like a vice tightening around her chest. Her voice weakened. Her strength faded. Yet, Tisha Campbell refused to surrender. She fought back, day by day, reshaping her life, her habits, and her mindset, learning how to live alongside a ruthless illness that tried to silence her. Today, against the odds, she's still standing. Still shining. A powerful testament to resilience, courage, and the will to survive. Karen Clark Sheard, a gospel powerhouse, the golden voice of the Clark sisters, stood on a razor-thin line between life and death. This wasn't a scandal. It wasn't a career collapse. It was something far more brutal and unforgiving. At a frighteningly young age, Karen was diagnosed with endometrial cancer, a rare and silent disease that usually strikes women over 50. In the late 1980s, the warning signs crept in: crushing abdominal pain, relentless exhaustion, irregular cycles. She dismissed it as stress from touring, from ministry, from life itself. Then came the diagnosis, and her world shattered. In 2001, doctors told her the surgery carried a 98% chance of death. On the operating table, her heart actually stopped. For a moment, she was gone. But somehow, she came back. Against every medical expectation, Karen survived. She healed. She reclaimed her voice. And she returned to the stage, not just as a singer, but as a living miracle. a testimony of faith, strength, and survival that no statistics could silence. Orlando Jones, the rare disease that nearly took his life. Orlando Jones, actor, writer, and comedian, didn't shock Hollywood with scandal or controversy. He shocked it with survival. At the height of his success in the early 2000s, his own body began to betray him. Jones was suffering from celiac disease, a rare and often overlooked autoimmune disorder, especially among Black Americans, where the body violently attacks itself in response to gluten. Every meal became a nightmare. Eating felt like his insides were being torn apart. In just 1 year, he lost nearly 40 pounds. Hospital visits became routine as he battled relentless diarrhea, crushing fatigue, and moments so dark he feared he wouldn't survive. For more than a decade, doctors misdiagnosed him, allowing the damage to spread silently. By the time the truth was finally revealed, his intestines were severely scarred, and his risk of cancer had surged. To stay alive, Orlando Jones had to completely rebuild his life, starting with his diet, fighting back against a disease that nearly erased him. Toni Braxton, the R&B queen whose life became a fight for survival. The legendary voice behind "Unbreak My Heart" shocked the world not only with her music, but with her brutal, life-or-death battle against systemic lupus erythematosus, a rare and ruthless autoimmune disease. Behind the spotlight, lupus was silently attacking her body, draining her strength and pushing her closer to the edge of death. In 2008, just moments before a Las Vegas performance, Toni suddenly collapsed. Her heart began racing out of control. Her body locked up. Her breathing grew weak and erratic. She was rushed to the hospital, where she nearly died from myocarditis, one of lupus's most deadly complications. When she woke up, doctors delivered a chilling truth: this disease would never leave her. There would be no cure, no escape. From that moment on, Toni Braxton's life became an endless war, where every single day alive was a victory, and tomorrow was never guaranteed. Seal's scarred face became his silent signature, proof of a battle most never see. Behind the haunting voice of "Kiss from a Rose" is a man whose pain shaped his power. Seal wasn't born with those scars. They are the aftermath of a ruthless disease, discoid lupus erythematosus, DL, a rare form of lupus that attacks the skin, ravaging his face and leaving permanent marks. His teenage years were a living nightmare. Angry, open sores spread across his face and scalp, carving deep scars as clumps of hair fell away. Doctors warned him that if the disease wasn't controlled, his skin would continue to break down. But the deepest wounds weren't physical. They came from the stares, the whispers, the judgment. Seal learned to hate his reflection. There were moments he wanted to disappear, to hide his face from the world forever. But instead of surrendering, he transformed suffering into strength. When the stage lights came on, the scars faded into shadows, and the voice of a warrior rose. The world didn't just listen. It bowed. Jay Dilla, the hip-hop genius who fought for his life against a 1-in-100,000 disease. Jay Dilla was more than a producer. He was a name spoken with reverence, a visionary who reshaped hip-hop with beats that felt alive, imperfect, and timeless. But behind the brilliance was a silent, brutal battle. Dilla was slowly being consumed by TTP, a rare blood-clotting disorder that attacked his body day after day. Instead of surrendering, he created. As his health faded, his music grew stronger. In 2004, Dilla collapsed in the studio, his platelets dropping to deadly levels, microscopic clots waging war inside his veins. Within a year, he could barely walk, confined to a wheelchair, surviving on constant blood transfusions. And yet, against all odds, he made donuts. His final masterpiece was completed while he lay dying, crafting beats from a hospital bed, turning pain into pure art. Just 3 days after his birthday, Jay Dilla passed away. His body failed him. His music never did. Missy Elliott, a hip-hop legend, a visionary producer, a boundary-shattering rapper, was once locked in a silent, breath-stealing war with her own body. Behind the lights, the awards, and the larger-than-life persona, Missy was fighting Graves' disease, a rare and dangerous thyroid disorder that hijacks the body from the inside out. It sends the heart racing, drains muscle strength, and steals control over even the simplest movements. Left untreated, it can be fatal. By 2008, the battle turned terrifying. Her weight dropped rapidly and uncontrollably. Her heart slammed so hard it felt like it might burst. Her hands shook so violently she couldn't even drive. A year later, doctors confirmed the truth. Graves' disease had reached a critical, life-threatening stage. Missy disappeared from the spotlight, stepping away from fame to fight for her life. It was a moment where survival mattered more than stardom. And somehow, against the odds, she endured. When she returned, she didn't just come back, she roared back, reclaiming the stage with the same unstoppable force that made her a legend in the first place. Reggie White's life didn't end with a crushing hit on the field. It ended with a silent, horrific respiratory collapse. Known as the NFL's ultimate defensive force, Reggie White was a man who terrified quarterbacks with bone-shaking tackles and unstoppable power. To the world, he looked invincible. But what ultimately brought him down wasn't the violence of the gridiron. It was sarcoidosis, a ruthless and often overlooked disease, quietly destroying his lungs and heart. In 2004, just a few years after retirement, Reggie collapsed inside his own home. He struggled for air, his body overwhelmed by unbearable pain. By the time paramedics arrived, there was nothing they could do. The autopsy revealed a devastating truth. Sarcoidosis had been ravaging his body for years, undetected. A legend was gone, leaving the sports world stunned and heartbroken. Reggie White's death stands as a chilling reminder that even the strongest among us can be taken down by a silent killer. Flo Hyman's collapse mid-game. A death that shook the volleyball world. Flo Hyman, America's towering queen of volleyball, stood 6 feet 5 inches and seemed larger than life. With her commanding presence, she led Team USA to a historic Olympic silver medal, becoming a symbol of power, grace, and dominance on the court. But hidden inside that extraordinary body was a silent, ticking time bomb. Flo suffered from Marfan syndrome, a rare genetic disorder capable of causing the aorta to rupture without warning. On January 24, 1986, during a professional match in Japan, the unthinkable happened. In the middle of play, Flo suddenly collapsed, clutching her chest. In seconds, the arena fell silent. No one had time to react. Within minutes, she was gone, pronounced dead right there on the court. The autopsy later revealed the devastating truth. Her aorta had ruptured, instantly ending the life and career of one of volleyball's brightest legends. In a single, heartbreaking moment, the sport lost one of its greatest icons forever. Earl Campbell, a football legend, and a terrifying battle with a mysterious neurological disease. Known as the Tyler Rose, Campbell was once the human wrecking ball of American football, a living tank who bulldozed defenders with raw, unforgiving power. On the field, he seemed indestructible. But when the cheers faded and his playing days ended, that ironclad body began to betray him in unimaginable ways. By the late 1990s, Campbell knew something was terribly wrong. His legs shook without warning. His muscles weakened. Relentless pain became a daily prison. At first, many believed it was simply the price of thousands of brutal collisions. But as the symptoms grew darker and more neurological, doctors feared a chilling possibility: the silent killer with no cure, the same disease that has haunted and claimed other former football warriors. Stuart Scott's life was a fight to the very end. The legendary ESPN anchor wasn't just a voice in sports broadcasting, he was a warrior. With his bold energy and electrifying style, Stuart Scott changed the game and inspired millions. But away from the bright lights and catchphrases, he was fighting a far deadlier opponent. In 2007, what started as ordinary stomach pain turned into a shocking diagnosis: appendiceal cancer, an ultra-rare disease that strikes silently and spreads before anyone knows it's there. Surgeries, chemotherapy, relapse after relapse. Yet Stuart refused to surrender. He trained in mixed martial arts, pushed his body beyond limits, and faced cancer with the same fearless intensity he brought to the screen. In 2015, the battle finally ended. Stuart Scott passed away, but his strength, courage, and unbreakable spirit never did. his legacy lives on, reminding the world what it truly means to fight. Heavy D, a sudden death and the silent nightmare called blood clots. Heavy D, the iconic rap superstar of the 80s and 90s behind classics like Now That We Found Love, was more than a hip-hop legend. He was pure energy in human form. His larger-than-life presence lit up stages and screens alike. But on November 8, 2011, that unstoppable force was gone. At just 44 years old, Heavy D collapsed outside his home, shocking the world. In the weeks leading up to his death, he had felt unusually tired. His legs ached, but he brushed it off, never imagining the danger lurking beneath the surface. After a long flight from London back to the US, the pain intensified. Then came the moment no one saw coming. Doctors later revealed the devastating truth: a pulmonary embolism caused by deep vein thrombosis. A blood clot had formed in his leg, traveled to his lungs, and suddenly cut off his breath, forever. The illnesses faced by these 27 black stars weren't just uncommon, they were deadly. Some narrowly escaped with their lives. Others never got that chance. Their stories prove one haunting truth: no amount of fame, money, or success can protect you when sickness strikes. Which story shook you the most? Leave a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next chilling stories hidden behind Hollywood's glitter and glamour.